Let's see. Oh, I guess I didn't have. Okay, so our agenda, we'll cover some club items first, and then we'll get to our main topic. Future meetings this Friday, we do have Macintosh SIG coming up, and they cover the new news, and there was some announcements this week from Apple. They'll also do their tech updates, new Apple products, what is Rosetta 2 and do I care? And I made a bootable flash drive containing Mac OS Monterey, and it worked. And then their questions. So if you do have an iPad or an iPhone, that's always helpful. Or I suggest that you, if you're available, you can connect in on that meeting also. Our next question and answer that I will be holding will be, actually it says March 1st, but it's April 5th. April 5th is when the next question and answer is, first Tuesday of the month. And then our next general meeting will be, I didn't update that either, March 16th. I believe that's April 20th, and that's going to be on, what was that? Security and passwords, I believe. So we'll talk about password managers and internet security there. Our officers, we've got Jim as our president, Linda as our vice president, Paul is our membership secretary, Paula is our treasurer, Chuck is our recording secretary, Mike is our Mac SIG director, Andrew is our communication coordinator, I'm a director at large, and we'll get to the next slide here. There was an email
sent. Hang on a second. Tom, can you share again? Because Al took over sharing. We're seeing Al's share screen.
Oh, okay, let me go back here. Okay. Okay. Okay, is it back for everybody there? Or for Jim anyway?
It's coming. We'll see if we get it.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah, here it comes. Got it.
Okay. Well, let's just, previous slide showed the officers, the current officers there. We did send out a note earlier this month, and we are asking for your help. And we ask for members to join us, get some new blood in the board and help out there. And so consider it a personal invitation to become a PC board member. As a member, your input and opinion will guide the club. This includes but not limited to PC club meetings. We decide meeting format, food offerings, membership, finance, website, annual picnic business. We are a collaborative group that meets remotely the first Monday of the month for an hour over lunch to conduct our board business. If you'd like to attend and see what we do, no commitment. It's a great opportunity to share and shape the club and work with a great bunch of people. So if you want to join us and try it out or see what it's like, our next meeting is going to be April 4th, 11:30 to 12:30. Talk to any of the board members and we'll send you the link and you can see what it's about then. Okay, members old and new, Paul, our dues are $8 for the year, and Paul does send out emails when your membership expires. So if you haven't got an email, that means that you haven't expired yet, either that or you've changed emails and haven't notified us. So make sure if you do change to let us know what your new email is. If you do have suggestions for topics, you can email your topics to any of us or talk to any of the board members. We're always looking for volunteers to present on hardware and software that you may be using at home or at work, or to write a short or long article for the eBytes newsletter. This is a link to our website. Out there we do have our past meeting slides and handouts, and we try and record the meetings also. So if you miss one or just want to revisit, you can go out there. We also have our deals section and our monthly e-bites. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is smartphone to car interface. I'll be presenting. My name is Tom Kreuzer. First, we'll start out. This is the wrong way to get your smartphone to car interface. And I got a chuckle out of this. This is from a Buick GMC dealership. A young person had stopped into the dealership and was complaining that when he stuck his iPhone into the interface of a car there, it was scratching his iPhone. And he had an older vehicle and he was sticking it in. For those of us that are a little bit older, we'll remember the cassette. The cassette just happened to fit nicely his iPhone, and he was putting it in. So this is not the way to connect your smartphone to your car interface. If you're doing this, you're doing it wrong. And we'll tell you how to connect here. So let's start here. Smartphone to car interface. There's kind of a couple different ways that you can connect. The first way to connect is basic Bluetooth capability. That introduced hands-free calling to cars over 20 years ago. So you had built into some of the cars, or you had an extra jack that you could plug in to connect your device, whether it was an iPod for playing music or any other device, to your stereo in the car. Today, your smartphone can connect to your car's infotainment touchscreen display, the speakers in the car, and the microphone to help you with navigation, playing music, podcasts, radio, managing calls, text, chats. You have smart voice assistant capability, your calendar, the news, and more. The console-mounted touchscreen in many cars is like a tablet, and this tablet lets you connect some of your smartphone apps to your car. The way to connect it, the two biggest ways and easiest ways to connect, is through what's called Apple CarPlay if you have an iPhone, or if you don't have an iPhone, chances are you have an Android. There's Google Android Auto. These are the most popular ways to connect and interact with your car without distraction. The easy learning curve and voice-operated commands satisfy hands-free laws across most states. So the states, a lot of states don't want people fiddling with their phone or fiddling with their infotainment system. So they've tried to design these systems so that they're as easy as possible and not distracting to the driver. So first, let's talk about that basic car interface. And that basic car interface is that Bluetooth connection, and that's been around for over 20 years and allows you to use the car speaker and the mic and buttons that are usually in the steering wheel. You can play music from your phone to the car stereo, and you can manage your telephone calls while you're in the car. To set up basic Bluetooth, the first thing you usually do is just pair. Start the pairing process on your car's radio or infotainment system, which usually can be accessed via media or connections or settings. It depends on the car and the model there, but there's usually a option in there. Make sure the Bluetooth is switched on your smartphone and that it's visible. Once your car has found your phone, you may need to accept a PIN number may display there, and you may have to accept that on your car's display or that. Once you do that, your phone and car are now paired and ready to go. Your car will remember your Bluetooth connection, so your phone will connect when the car is next turned on. So next time you get in the car, start it up, your phone will automatically connect as long as you have Bluetooth on, and that it'll connect. So that's the basic connections, and that's, chances are most people are using that today. Next, we'll go beyond the basic Bluetooth connection and how to connect your car to your infotainment system. So let's talk about that. First, we'll talk about what are some of the requirements to do that. Well, first, you should have a touchscreen infotainment system. And most of the vehicles built since 2014 have a touchscreen. You need a smartphone, whether it's Apple or Android. Either one's going to work there. And then you need a USB data cable plugged into your car's data port. That's the way that most phones get connected to the car. Some of the newer phones and some of the newer cars also support a Bluetooth wireless connection. So if you do have a newer iPhone and a newer car and you don't have a cable, that might be an option for you too. Just a little tip here. A cheap USB charging cable will not work. So some people have bought at the dollar store or online, they may have bought a charging cable. And a charging cable usually just has the attachment to enable your phone to be charged. It does not pass through the ability of data to be passed in that cable. So you want to make sure you're using either the original cable that came with your phone, or if you're buying one, you want to make sure it's advertised as a data cable so that you'll be able to connect it to your PC or to your car. That's what you do with a data cable. Another thing that you need is compatible apps installed on the smartphone. And not all apps are compatible with your car. There's a limited number of apps, and so at the present time, it's a little over 100, and they allow you to stream music, podcasts, radio, chat, maps, news, and a few other functions. But not all apps are able to be connected from your phone to your car. And then optionally, you may need a car mount for your smartphone. And I have a little picture here showing an example of a mount that's in the cup holder. And the reason for this is if you have your phone in the car and you have it in a purse, or you threw it down on the floor, or it's in your back pocket, or whatever, it may not be getting a good cell signal. So the advantage of a car mount is that it will be up higher in the car, and chances are it'll get a better signal. And if you're going to be streaming music and that, you need a good cell signal to be able to stream music. Okay, I mentioned this here that a number of cars come with infotainment systems that already have a built-in, in-car built-in cell device. And that requires a monthly service fee of $15 to $50 for things like OnStar, Sirius XM, or to have in-car Wi-Fi. So a number of the cars, the older cars, and some of the new cars do come with these cell devices built in. This service is not needed because you're going to be connecting your smartphone and its data cell service to your car. This can save you hundreds of dollars a year. And this is a warning here. Earlier this year, a number of the cell phone providers stopped supporting what was called old 3G connections. If you have an old car that only supported the old 3G connection, it stopped working earlier this year when the 3G service was shut down. So just because your car is still working doesn't mean the electronics in the car. If you have a 10-year-old car or 12-year-old car, that chances are it's got old technology which has its limitations. Okay, now let's talk about Apple CarPlay. So, and down here in the right-hand corner, I have a little graphics. This is showing the car infotainment system. And the infotainment system, you can see it looks like some apps up there and a few different controls and things like that. Apple CarPlay has been around since 2014, and it looks like a simplified version of an iPhone home screen on your car's infotainment system. So that's what we're seeing here. It's as if you took your phone, turned it sideways. You've got some apps. You can move them. You can click them. You can do various options there. Drivers can make use of the software to handle calls, dictate messages via Siri, receive turn-by-turn directions, and to play music, depending on the apps that you've loaded in that. The interface is instantly recognizable to iPhone users as the app's icons and actions are nearly identical to the phone. So when we connect that phone to your car's infotainment system, it's passing data. It's not just using that screen as a display monitor. Your car's infotainment system has certain capabilities. Your smartphone has certain capabilities. They both have to work in concert. Every iPhone since the iPhone 5 is compatible with Apple CarPlay. iPads and iPhones, the older iPads and iPhones with the 30-pin, the wider connector, or iPhones running iOS 7.1 or older aren't compatible, which makes sense. So you do have to have a newer iPhone, but again, it doesn't have to be the latest and greatest, just has to be iPhone 5 or above and running a newer version than 7.1 of the iOS. Most CarPlay features can be accessed and controlled through Siri. Because that interface, we talked about not being a distracted driver, you have to be able to interact with most of these things using your voice, or so that you aren't distracted with clicking on the screen and doing various things. So when you use the Apple CarPlay, you're using Siri, Apple's voice-activated digital assistant. Commands such as call mom, navigate to the movie theater, and play Taylor Swift can all control CarPlay. So you have literally thousands, if not millions, of commands that you can do. Apps such as Woz, iHeartRadio, and Spotify have made their way into the interface as well and can be accessed from the CarPlay home screen. That and roughly 100 plus other apps. Most cars and models are compatible. This is a link here to the 600 plus car models from the Apple website and what model and years are supported. Let's just take a quick look out here. So this is the Apple website, and it lists by a manufacturer all the different makes and models. And like I said, there's 600 plus. Some makers didn't start adopting it till 2016 or 2017, but some of the early car manufacturers had it in 2014 in their different models. But you can take a look there and see if your make and model is in there if you have an Apple device. Also, I put a link out here. This is some quick instructions on how to set up CarPlay if you do that. And this goes out to the Apple website also. And it's relatively easy to set up CarPlay. this just goes through some of the steps there. And so there's just a handful of steps that you're going through to connect your car, and then some of the options that you can do, and some of the customization you can do also. So let's go back here. Next, let's talk about Google Android Auto. Very similar. So Android Auto works the same way as Apple CarPlay there, but it's for Android phones. So it's going to look and operate almost exactly the same. It's just if you have an Android phone or if you have an iPhone, then you're using the Apple CarPlay there. Drivers with Android smartphone OS 10 or above already have the capability to connect to it built into the operating system. So you don't even have to install anything. It's already there. If you have OS 9 of Android or older, you do need to download an Android Auto app from the Google Play Store. This is not me. This is the review that I was reading, I think, from PC Magazine or CNET. They were talking about Google's service is more robust and user-friendly than Apple's. Google Assistant is powerful and offers users the ability to ask questions while the vehicle is in motion, such as how far away is Atlanta or what's tomorrow's weather forecast. Google, the Android Auto also supports Google Assistant, so you can use the Hey Google and the millions of voice commands that you can do with the Google Assistant. It supports basically the same apps and the same types there, Google Maps, Waze, others. You can find gas, you can find electric vehicle charging stations, or book parking, all on your dashboard display. Also features call and chat features, which are all hands-free. Google Assistant can read your messages out loud and can make text back by talking. From making calls to using chat apps with just your voice, Android Auto makes driving less distracting. So let's take a look at this video. This video is from a car dealership. It shows how easy it is to set it up and some of the options there. This is roughly 5 minutes long. Let's take a look here.
Hi there and welcome back to Belleville Toyota. I'm Bronwyn, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up and initiate Android Auto in your Toyota vehicle. This feature is present in almost all 2020 and 2021 Toyota
And a reminder, Tom, we do not hear the sound.
For reference, I'm sitting in a 2021 Toyota Corolla hatchback, but these instructions are going to be pretty much identical across all Toyota products. Before we connect our phone, we are going to make sure that the Android Auto is turned on and is active in the vehicle's head unit. Press Menu, then Setup, then find Projection Settings in the General menu and click that. This vehicle is equipped with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so typically you would turn both of them on. After Android Auto is turned on, we can return back to the home.
We'll start it back over there. Hopefully you can at least.
Hi there and welcome back to Belleville Toyota. I'm Bronwyn, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up and initiate Android Auto in your Toyota vehicle. This feature is present in almost all 2020 and 2021 Toyota models. Let's get started. For reference, I'm sitting in a 2021 Toyota Corolla hatchback, but these instructions are going to be pretty much identical across all Toyota products. Before we connect our phone, we are going to make sure that the Android Auto is turned on and is active in the vehicle's head unit. Press Menu, then Setup, then find Projection Settings in the General menu and click that. This vehicle is equipped with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so typically you would turn both of them on. After Android Auto is turned on, we can return back to the home menu. If this switch is not turned on, you will get notifications on your head unit once you've plugged your phone in, prompting you to enable the Android Auto feature. Now that we are set up on the head unit, you can locate your USB port. Some models have multiple of these. The USB ports that are labeled 2.1A are just for charging and will not work for Android Auto. The next important step is choosing your cord. This feature tends to work best if you are using an authentic Android cable. You can use a different cord as long as it is a data transfer cable with a USB end. Android Auto will not perform if the phone is connected with just a charging cord. For example, often dollar store or gas station cords are just for charging only. Before we plug the phone in, let's click on the menu. You are looking for this projection icon. That is your Android Auto. Once we've plugged in our phone and initiate Android Auto, this will change to say Android Auto automatically. Let's prepare our phone for Android Auto. Ensure your device is running at Android 6.0 or above. On most newer Androids, Android Auto will come pre-installed. On older devices, you must install the Android Auto app manually. Find the Google Play Store on your phone. Search for Android Auto in your search bar and look for this app. Once you have located this app, click on it and then click Install. Once installed, you can now press Open. This is the screen you should see on your phone. We are going to go through all the permissions before we can activate Android Auto. For time's sake, I'm going to go through them quickly, but please take the time to read the agreements, and please note that Android Auto may not work effectively if some or all of the permissions are denied. Permissions will include calendar, messages, audio, contacts, etc. You can then press Continue, and you must turn on notification access to Android Auto. Press Allow. Once you get to this purple and blue screen, which is the Android Auto app, it is time to plug your phone in. Once plugged in, your phone should start charging immediately. You may also see a prompt on your vehicle that looks like this. You should also see this on your phone screen. These are a few final permissions before you can access Android Auto on your Toyota head unit. Once you have acknowledged these notifications, you may notice that the icon that was once projection now says Android Auto. Click on this icon and your Google Maps will appear. The icon on the bottom left corner acts as a home button and allows you to view all the compatible apps from your phone projected onto your head unit. You can see Spotify, calendar, podcasts. The little bell icon pulls up your notifications from messages, Facebook, voicemails, etc. The microphone icon to the bottom right of the screen is your Google Assistant. You will have more access to text messages and maps by giving verbal instructions to your Google Assistant via Android Auto. At this point, your phone must be plugged in to operate Android Auto. Each time you plug in, the projection icon will change automatically to say Android Auto. Alternatively, once you're plugged in, you can also press the Map button to the left of your head unit, and that will pull up your Google Maps. And that is all for today's video on Android Auto. I hope you learned a little bit on how to set up and enjoy this feature on your Toyota. I'm Bronwyn from Belleville Toyota. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Okay, so that hopefully gave you a little idea of how to set it up and the permissions that have to be done and well, what's going to do. And it's a one-time setup there of your phone. Android Auto will work in most cars even if you don't have an infotainment screen by just using your smartphone screen. You can add a few apps and phone settings, and you can make your smartphone version of Android Auto just about as good as the dashboard version. So if you don't have that infotainment touchscreen, if you mount your phone up high and run the Android Auto app, you can kind of simulate that on the smaller screen. Okay, let's talk about some tips. If your car doesn't support Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it may support a companion app. So many car makers also have a companion app that works with your particular car's infotainment system. Check your car's owner manual to find what might be supported. Example, there's apps, one's called My Cadillac, Ford Pass, Toyota Entune, or Honda Link. Once the app is installed and connected, you're ready to go. They aren't going to have as many features and functions as the Apple CarPlay or the Android Auto, but it'll give you some additional capabilities to interface between your phone and the car. For safety and legal reasons, Apple and Google will never support video playback. So even though I mentioned earlier that infotainment touchscreen is like a tablet, you will not be able to play apps like Netflix or YouTube and watch videos, because these videos would be distracting the driver who has visibility of that, and that's illegal in every state to support video, which could be very distracting there. Another option, if you don't have an infotainment system, is Amazon sells an Echo Auto. It's a $20 device. That's what I have circled here in red, that you can add to a car, and it's a hands-free Alexa in your car. It connects to the Alexa app on your smartphone and plays through your car's speaker. So it's a way to add that capability into the car. Just gives you that voice capability of being able to ask questions and things like that you can. Here's another option if you don't have that infotainment system. Car and Driver came out with this and sells this IntelliDash. It sells for about $350. It's a 7-inch touchscreen that supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it mounts on your dash. So let's take a quick look at that. I think
Right turn in 400 feet.
Okay, that was a quick, it's not something that I'd recommend because the cost is quite high there, but it is an option if you don't have a touchscreen infotainment system. Some of the problems you'd have with this is you obviously have wires connecting to it, power and the cords and things like that, so it's up to you. This is another option that just came out. This is if you don't have the infotainment system again. Spotify came out with this thing. It's called Spotify Car Thing. It sells for $90. It's a credit card size touchscreen that contains a mic, 5 buttons, and a dial for playing Spotify from your smartphone on your car stereo. It mounts to your dash, but you still need a monthly subscription to Spotify to play Spotify, which is $10. So this is obviously a little smaller, can fit on the dash, isn't sticking out like the previous one from Car and Driver. I mentioned this, careful if you do buy any of these devices, whether it's the Amazon Alexa, whether it's the Car and Driver, whether it's the Spotify. If you leave them visible in your car, somebody may choose to break your window and try and steal the device. So because they aren't built into the vehicle, like an infotainment system, you may have to put it away when you're not using it, or hope that your car doesn't get broken into. Okay, here's some additional tips for the Apple CarPlay. CarPlay offers its own dedicated settings app through which you can tweak different options. Apple replaced Do Not Disturb with a mode called Focus. Focus has a category for driving. Set this up under Settings, Focus, Driving. Enable the switch next to Driving to allow notifications from certain contacts. You can tap under the People section to allow notifications here. Here you can add or remove specific people and set whose calls go through. Under the Options section, you can set up automated messages to alert anyone who tries contacting you that you're currently driving. So if you want and you don't want to respond by voice or whatever, you can set it up to respond. If they send you a text message, just say, "I'm currently driving. I'll get back to you as soon as I get done driving," and you won't have to do anything there. Let's see. You can control your dashboard by splitting the screen between 2 or 3 apps to queue up driving directions in one window, control music in another, and view your calendar in a third, for example. And that works with the Android Auto too. The videos that we saw were just showing like the Maps app there by itself, but you can, with the newer operating systems and that, it allows you to have your screen split in 2 or 3 using the different apps there. You can customize your wallpaper and Apple Car settings, so you can do that. Siri can announce new messages so that you're not distracted looking at the dashboard, and you go into the settings there and you can turn it on, and you'll then hear Siri announcing the messages when they come in. Most drivers use CarPlay for driving directions, so Apple has beefed up the Maps app. It's better than it used to be there to deliver more information while navigating a route. You can see the speed limit, the direction, estimated arrival time, 3D buildings, and businesses like gas stations and restaurants. Siri also gives more specific driving directions these days, such as turn right at the next traffic light instead of turn right in 800 feet. You don't install apps specifically to CarPlay or for Android Auto. Instead, if you have apps on your phone, iPhone or Android phone, that are compatible with these devices, they'll appear when you connect the device to the infotainment system there. So if I install, as an example, Spotify on my phone, I can use it without being connected to the car. But if I'm connected to the car, Spotify is going to show up on the infotainment system there. Okay, we'll open it up for questions here. Let me do a couple of housekeeping here. I will clear off some of this stuff. I have to unshare here. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn on my video there, and we'll take a look at the chat. And if anyone has a live question, you can unmute yourself and your video also, and you can ask a question. Okay, let's see. Jim did post the handout out there, so if you can get the handout or go out to the website. Jim Pritchard mentions I have my 2018 upgrade from 3G to 5G. Actually, the 2018 should have supported 4G there, and 4G is going to be sufficient for most anything, any speed that you need. 5G would be more handy if you were doing video, but again, this type of interface does not support video. So the speed isn't quite as important there.
Not so much for the infotainment and such. I have two different cell phones that I have paired with my head unit. And obviously, I can only select one at a time for outgoing. I'd like to be able to have them both be able to accept a call incoming. Do you know if that's possible?
No, or I guess I haven't seen that in any of the systems because what you get with Bluetooth is a relatively simple connection type, and so it's not made to support multiple connections. You could pair like you mentioned, if you have two phones, husband and wife, you can pair both the husband and the wife. You just have to uh, essentially, the easiest thing is to turn off Bluetooth if both of you are in the car and you want uh, your wife's phone, turn Bluetooth off on your phone, and her phone will automatically connect, and vice versa if you wanted to use your phone instead of her phone. But they aren't smart enough, and it never really work out if you had two devices trying to send audio and signals and things like that at the same time.
Okay, yeah. It's more for if one or the other gets an incoming call to know that, the phone's going to ring. I'd like to have the phone be able to know to connect to the head unit to put it through the system. But apparently, I won't have to look for an upgrade for the system for the car because I won't be able to find that either.
Well, one of the options there, you can check with your phone provider, is to forward the one phone to the other phone. So if you know that you're going on a long trip or that, you could forward from the one phone to the other phone, so everything would be coming in through the one phone. So you can do things like that. That's what, if you're familiar with even the free service Google Voice, that's part of the function of Google Voice. You can set up a free account there. You can connect your mobile devices, any number of mobile devices, plus you get another telephone number and texting capability from that new number. So that's one way of kind of coordinating phone numbers for messaging and voice and things like that together.
Okay.
So somebody calling, and that even works with like work numbers. So somebody calling your work number, it'd ring on your mobile phone, and to the person calling you, they just know that they called your work number. They don't know that you're on your mobile phone there.
All right. Thank you. I'll look into those.
You're welcome. Other questions, comments? Oh, Jim mentions that it only supported the 3G. Well, that's surprising there that they, I guess surprising and not surprising. Some of the car manufacturers, when they went into these early connections, didn't think things out. I know one of the car manufacturers used a Bluetooth connection to enable automatic door locks to the point where anyone could walk up to a new car, pair their phone, and then open the doors. So there was no security, there was no capability there. They had never talked to anybody who knew anything about security and how somebody might be able to uh, uh, gain access to the system who didn't own the car. Just as a question, do people currently use Apple CarPlay or an Android Auto, or is this something new for everyone there?
I'll comment. I've used Android Auto on rentals, and my own Honda is one level down, so it doesn't have a touch screen. You know, it has the display and the camera and everything, so I can do the kind of the second option that you said. I can do the audio through the Bluetooth and have my phone screen up so that I can see the maps. So if I want to, then I can either hear the audio through the car and then pair for it still pairs so I can do the phone calls, etc. through. So I've done both.
Okay. Yeah, Honda does have its own app, so if you do have an older model or don't have the touchscreen, you can check out the Honda Link and install that. And the Honda Link does give you some, I believe, some of the extra capabilities that it gives you is full access to your contacts and stuff like that. So even though you don't have that touch
Right.
screen and full capability there, you can set things up like that.
Yeah, and that's what I say. That's what I do. So I do use that. I can do the phone calls. Pretty much, it's just the speed dial are the ones that I ever do going out. But yeah, any incoming, it'll ring and I can answer that too.
Tom, this is John Stofko. We
Sure.
used to have an older Toyota car which did not support Android Auto. We have a newer car now that does support Android Auto. We find that much better than using the old Toyota Entune map service. The Google Maps is so much better.
Yeah, and you're going to have access to more apps there that are supported. The Entune, again, these car-specific ones give you a few features and functions beyond the standard Bluetooth, but don't support the full, more richer capability that you find in the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay. And I guess maybe the presentation didn't emphasize it, but if the newer cars always support both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It isn't a case of, let's say, that they just support Android Auto. They're supporting both of them because sales in the United States and stuff like that are about 50-50 between an Apple iPhone and Android phone. So just so that their cars support it, they have to support both connection types. So whenever if somebody says, "Well, I'm using Apple CarPlay on a car," you could connect an Android device. So if the husband had an Android and the wife had an iPhone, one could be connected to Apple CarPlay and the other to Android Auto there, and they can both coexist there, I believe. Other questions or comments? If you haven't given it a try, certainly give it a try there. The other thing is if you're not familiar with using the car or using the phone in the car there, some of the apps will automatically disable themselves when the car starts moving. So if you're using just your phone by itself, you have to check out some of these settings or that if you to set it up and to do some of the things you want to set it up while the car is not in motion and get everything set. Then once it's set, it's anticipating that the majority of your commands are going to be done through voice commands, whether it's using Siri for the Apple CarPlay or using the Google. So it's the case of becoming a little bit more familiar with some of those if you're looking for volumes up, skipping, things like that. that you might normally do with a touch screen. You're going to want to find how to do those touchless to fully be able to use it while you're driving.
Hey, Tom, Jim Beardsley.
Sure.
My Honda has all that on the steering wheel. All the controls for either Android Auto or CarPlay. Once you get it connected, you can do all the searches and everything right from the steering column without having to reach over to the touch screen.
Okay, yeah. You do find that on some of them there, and if they you also, even if you've got it on the steering wheel with the voice capability, you can also control it that way. And if you're used to an Alexa or things like that, you'll all of those will be familiar to you in terms of listening to music or a podcast, pausing it and things like that, how to do. But yeah, and the controls on the radio will do the same type of deal. The infotainment system or the radio usually will be passed back to your phone to pause and to play and things like that.
Yeah, I can control everything. You can control the volume up and down, skip on to the next song, or switch apps all from the steering column, which makes it really nice to do the hands free.
Yeah. Evelyn shows this is what the steering wheel will look like, all the buttons and controls there. Well, hopefully not there. Yeah, they're that's when we get the screens that are projected in front of us and the ability to poke and point and things like that. We'll be able to just sit in the back seat, let the car drive, and not worry about anything there. And it's a little confusing too with these connections. Your phone is critical to the connection. So when we talk about using Spotify or listening to a podcast, it's being played from your phone. It's just utilizing the speakers and the infotainment display to give you control. It's not running on the car itself because the car is not doesn't have a big CPU, doesn't have big memory, doesn't have a connection to the internet. It doesn't have these things. So it's relying on your phone having the app. That's why you install the apps on the phone. And if the app is compatible with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, then it'll show up on your infotainment system there. But it's not like the code or the app is actually loaded onto your car. It's not loaded or stored or taking any memory or streaming to the internet from your car. All that's being done from your smartphone, which is a little bit of a blessing because, as I think Jim had mentioned there, car models, we tend to keep our cars longer than we do our smartphones. So cars, if everything was built into the car, you'd be out of date usually in 3 years, 2 to 3 years, and this way you can continue to upgrade your smartphone, and your car is going to have increased capabilities as you get new capabilities on the phone, and if the phone is using 5G, again, you're not worried about the car and its potential old connection or capabilities there. Other questions or comments there? Okay, well, if there are no more questions, let's see, yeah, we're just about done with our time there. And again, you've got the MaxSig coming up this Friday. Check in on that. We've got our Q&A then, the first Tuesday in April, and then April 20th, it'll be security and passwords. And I'll be talking about Bitwarden as a password manager and some of the other ways that you can protect yourself there. So unless there's any last question, we'll say goodbye to everybody and take care. Take advantage of the nice weather.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep. We'll see ya.
Thank you.